Hi, I'm Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's start. We're going to be talking about Abducted in Plain Sight. You can find it on Netflix.
It's old.
It's an older one.
But here we are.
Because,
doing what we want.
Because this is our podcast.
And we can do whatever we want.
It's so true. So...
Stop picking your fingers because I'm doing the same gosh darn thing. Alright, so we're starting in Idaho, and it's the 70s. And...
I guess that's like maybe why this happened.
I have a different 70s? Theory on why this happened, which we'll get to.
Okay.
The way I feel about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, so, Jan.
We're going to be talking about Jan is the girl, the main girl of the subject.
The subject.
The subject. I don't know what I'm...
And so Jan's dad and mom are Bob and Marianne. Mm-hmm. And she has two younger sisters, Karen and Susan. Mm-hmm. Correct? They...
just lived a normal life?
Yeah, like a totally...
Yeah.
Normal, everything, suburban.
Yeah. I think they, like, had a really good childhood, it seems. Or, you know, the beginning. Until
we meet.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce their last name.
I don't either. That's why I just put...
Berchtold?
Yeah, I would just say it once, and then we're going to call him B from now on.
But they meet the Berchtold family.
Yeah.
At church.
Yeah.
And
they become fast friends.
Very fast friends. I thought it was very strange how they, like, sent them a fruit basket.
Yeah.
Like, we enjoyed the day with you so much. Like, that feels very manipulative to me.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at everything. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow.
That's weird.
You're love bombing someone.
Right.
You know?
And they said it was like every kid was matched with a different kid. And like the moms got along, the dads got along, and then the brothers and the sisters all got along. So
yeah,
it was like
what was it? Every single person of the Broberg, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Of their family and the Berchtold family, they all had like their own little partner and pair. And Marianne, Jan's mom, does say that she thought it was interesting how Gail was the quieter and like more introverted of that couple, but that they became very close friends.
Yeah. So, that's, So,
also, like, think of how perfect that must feel in the moment. Like,
I know.
Oh my gosh, I found this friend, and like, they go to the same church as us, and they have the same beliefs as us,
and the
like,
mom stayed home, and like the dad's work,
and like all of our, I don't know, like everything's so perfect, and nothing is perfect.
No. So anyway, B is what we're gonna call Robert.
Yes.
Because they call him B.
And Brother B.
So he's the dad of Berchtold family. And I have a quote down here saying something that I find really disgusting. So he comes into their lives and you'll see like what he does and intertwines himself into the family. But he says of their daughter, I knew I found the girl I was looking for.
Yeah.
And she happened to be 12 at the time.
Yeah, and he's in his 40s?
40s? Because he's got 12-year-old kids of his own.
Yeah.
So I was like, that shook me. I'm like, no.
You know, the thing I found really striking was that her parents are like, she has, like, her parents were like, yeah, you know, it was kind of, sometimes it would be a little interesting, his strong interest in our young teen daughter.
Right.
But, you know.
And then nothing.
It's the 70s.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Like, what?
Yeah. And I guess, like, they even thought of him as, like, a second father.
Yeah, she says,
these
like...
families were so close.
Very close.
Yeah,
very close.
Very close.
But he's, like, taking a lot of pictures and, like, doing photo shoots with Jan and, like, very, very hyper-focused on Jan.
He's very engaged with Jan.
And, you know, I don't want to tell anyone's story, but personally, I had a male who married into our family who would take all kinds of photos of everyone. Like, that was his thing. He was, like, the photographer.
Yeah.
And, like, he was part of a kiddie porn ring that got busted. And he's still in prison to this day.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yes.
Ew.
Yes. No. Like, he would come and visit us and with his family, his wife and his kids. And, like, take pictures of me and my sister in our bathing suits and like with flowers in our ears. And
yeah, you think it's all innocent, but it's not. It's never innocent.
So like I get really like that gave me like a visceral reaction.
I bet
with all the pictures and the photo shoots because you feel so special. And like my images were never online. Like I was never part of it.
Yeah,
but knowing that that's like. Malicious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would come to find out that Jan, or B would call Jan Dolly.
Oh, all kinds of nicknames, but the one she remembered the most.
Dolly.
Dolly.
Like, that's just weird. And she just, like, accepted it. And then it just became her name. I just don't understand how this guy weaseled his way in and, like, changed one of their girls' names and just, I don't know. It just...
Brainwashed the entire family.
Yeah.
And then he kisses her, right? Like, that's sort of the first thing. So I don't remember, it was just, like...
No, they kissed, yeah. That's all I have written down. Yeah. And she was saying B felt like a father, like a second father, and so she felt completely safe with him, which is him just totally grooming her to be like that. So I just think it's really weird how a father of a different family wants to hang out with a daughter of their best friend's family. Like, that just seems weird to me. If Chris came over and said, "Hey, I want to hang out with Avery," I'd be like, "No, not today, Chris."
Like, as I was watching that, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what if Chris, like, went to Mel's and was like, "Oh, hey, I'm just here to pick up Avery."
Yeah.
To, like, take her to a pizza shop, just me and Avery.
Yeah. And I know Chris, and I know you, and I still don't think I would.
Well, and they knew him too, but, like, to me, that's, like, a huge red flag.
Yeah, I'd be texting you, like, what the fuck?
I could see your husband maybe if, like, Avery was going to come to our house and Chris was stopping by to pick her up to drive the mile to our house. Like,
right.
That would make sense to me. Like, that wouldn't be weird.
No. But if he wanted to pick her up and take her somewhere, I'd be like, no, that's not going to happen. You
so weird.
Fucking weirdo.
Right? We're like, honestly, even if Auntie was like, "Hey, I'm here to hang out with Blake," you'd be like, "Yo, bro, you gotta go." Like, because it goes both ways, right? It's not just girls.
No,
like, I think that would be really strange. Any grown adult that wants to spend alone time with a child is a weird relationship.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So gross.
So then we come to the day where B calls and says he wants to take Jan.
I thought this was so weird.
To go ride some horses.
And I loved how her mom was like, "You know, I really didn't want to let her go because it was like a school night, but then I just did."
Yeah.
I tried so hard to give this woman the benefit of the doubt.
You can't.
I really tried. And every time she opened her mouth, I was like,
punch in the face.
That's not what I would do.
And she...
sorry, I'm so sorry. But, like, the insistence, right? Like, I feel like once I was like, "I'm not sure that this is the best time."
Right.
If a grown adult was like, not even with the kids. Like, it's just Jan. Not like Jan and his child that is the same age.
Right.
Which would make more sense.
That I would be like, okay, you guys are going horse riding. Like,
but like not... the insistence, like, no, it has to be today. It has to be like, no.
Yeah.
No, you want this too bad.
No.
No way.
Absolutely not.
That's not going to happen.
Absolutely not. So she says that he brought her an allergy pill to take in the car.
Well, no, he agreed to pick her up after piano.
Oh, yeah.
Because her mom was like trying to make all these excuses.
Right.
Rather than just hurt someone's feelings. And that's another big thing about this, too. Like, I don't care.
No.
I am willing to crush you. But, like...
Yeah.
Just didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
And so was like, oh, like, I suppose. So he does. He picks her up and she's begging because she's like a kid who wants to go
horses. Yeah.
Wants to go horseback riding.
Sure.
And so then they get in the car after piano.
Yeah.
And
he gives her a quote allergy pill.
Yeah, because
horses, I don't know.
She's apparently allergic to horses. I'm sure.
I guess. Obviously, it was not an allergy pill.
And she says, I don't know how strong it was, but I don't remember anything else. I believe. That's not a direct quote, but...
She passed out quickly, and she said she doesn't remember the stables or the drive over.
Probably because they didn't ride horses.
Right.
Like, I thought that was a very interesting line, too. I was like, honey, sweet honey, I don't think there were stables. I think it was what they call a ruse and not actually going to happen. But okay, sure.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. So they don't come home that night.
Yeah.
They just don't come home.
And the mom's like, it's like 9 p.m. And we're like, oh, a little bit worried.
Just a little bit? Like, it's a school night and your child?
and then part of me thinks Gail knows who her husband is. Because she's like, don't call the cops.
Yeah,
like,
she came over and was like, hey, my husband's not here. And she was like, yeah, my daughter's not here. Like, what the fuck?
And she was like, oh, maybe I should, like, call the police. And she's like, no, don't do that because, like, it'll be bad.
Yeah.
So they don't.
They don't.
And then they don't.
And then they don't again.
For another day.
No. Saturday they
don't.
Down. Yeah, Sunday.
And they're like, oh, they're not home by Sunday. Like, right. Huh?
Like, they were going horseback riding. And then they call the FBI.
Yeah, I thought that was strange too. I'm like, you guys don't have police? Like,
right. I don't know.
You're going straight to the
FBI. They called the FBI and they were closed because it was the weekend. And so she was like, so I guess we had to wait longer.
But there was some other office that was open, but they decided not to call that one.
No, because it wasn't that big of a deal yet. Like, it's only been 3 days now? They're just looking for their daughter, excuse me.
Oh my God.
So then I find out that they were members of the LDS church, and I was like, oh, here we go. Now I understand what's going on.
Is this like the fourth time?
Yeah. In the past month. Yes. So
it's all, well, okay, so that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I feel like the abuse is allowed to occur because the LDS church. I also feel it's hidden because of it.
Sure.
But I also feel that the lack of sexual education is in tune to that as well. And we're not there yet, so I don't want to say anything else. But I really think that it's a place for a predator to just hide.
Yeah. For sure.
Because yeah.
So it's been 5 days. And the mom still says she doesn't think that he kidnapped her daughter. They keep saying, I don't think she was kidnapped.
The FBI agent has to convince them that their daughter has been kidnapped. Because they are brainwashed into thinking that this guy just took their daughter
to just go ride horses for a couple days instead of a day or an hour.
Just took their daughter, but it's not kidnapping.
Right.
Like, so then what is it?
It's a fine line.
So what are we calling it now?
And then Gail spits out that they have a motorhome.
Yes.
And it was...
At storage.
At storage.
And then they go to the storage.
And dun, dun, dun.
Shocker. The motorhome is not at the storage unit.
Nope.
So then they find the FBI agents working on it. They find the car.
Yeah.
With the window broken, but like from the outside.
Yeah.
And blood. Like you can tell that it was broken in and not out.
Right.
And they find like blood. And they immediately are like, this is being set up to make it look like something it's not. Like they knew right away. They knew right away that like this motherfucker is a predator.
Yeah.
So they find the car with the door open, and then they find, what is it, one set of footprints.
Right.
Leading to what looks like tire tracks for, oh, you never guess,
a motorhome. Yep. And then we meet Joe, B's brother. Do you remember him?
Uh-huh.
And he is like, he says, he was like, yeah, I knew he was a pedophile his whole life. Like, he just came out and he was like, I don't like this motherfucker. I don't like that he's my brother.
Which I honestly kind of appreciate.
I did too, because it's like, this is a bad man. Like, let's not defend this guy in any way.
I didn't necessarily feel that anyone was defending him.
No, not defending, but like sliding, like it just slid by. Like nobody seemed to care.
Yeah.
So that's like even worse.
Well.
But I was glad that he was like.
Hold on, pause. Has he already had relations with her parents or not yet?
I don't think not yet.
Okay, because I thought that
Or did he? I don't know. Maybe I didn't write it down.
No. Well, see if you wrote it down, because I remember the cop saying...
No, I have it.
But what about the dad giving him a hand job?
Yeah, that's in here too somewhere. That was like towards the end, I thought.
I'm only asking because I remember... Maybe it was. And... Well, now I fucked it up. No. But I'm only asking because I remember the FBI agent saying that he manipulated this family.
Yeah.
And, like, there were two dominoes in the way of him having unfettered access to Jan.
Yeah.
And it was her parents.
Yeah.
And so he manipulated them by having sexual relations with both of them.
Both of them.
In order to guilt them into giving him unfettered access.
Right.
To their daughter.
Yeah.
Which is fucking diabolical.
Let's take a quick break.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we got there yet, but spoiler.
I think it's a little bit later, but yes.
He has sexual
relations with both of them.
And I don't want to skip, but the dad just sitting in a car like, hey, I kind of want to get my, and the dad's like, okay, I guess I'll give you an HJ. Like, what? What?
I thought, why didn't he just be like, you have a hand, do it yourself? That's what I would expect someone to say.
I wouldn't even say that.
Well, no, I wouldn't want it, but I would just be like,
I would be like,
no, it's not my hand.
No. What the fuck? Take me home. What? Could you imagine?
No.
Could you imagine?
No. It's the grooming that went on here is...
But the ability for a grown man to groom other grown adults.
Both adults in the same family.
Fucking insane.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, like, the naivete and, like, the guilt of... Because both the parents, even to this day, talk about the guilt of, like, being... infidelity?
Right.
I was trying to think of like adultery with him, and I think that that's so deeply rooted in like the beliefs of their church, which is fine, but not in this instance.
No.
Okay, back on track. I'm sorry.
No, so
that really fucking shook me.
He and B like stays over at their house
like all the time,
and like just sleeps over and has a sleepover
with a 12-year-old.
Jan.
Yeah.
Like in her bed.
Yes.
And so she says one day she wakes up and her panties were down by her ankles. He was at the bed with her. Like, I don't think anything happened during that time. But I'm like...
This is like a classic case of how it happens.
Was the door shut? Like, what is happening with a grown man and a 12-year-old in a bedroom at the 12-year-old's house?
I don't think the parents cared. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think that they were so naive that they couldn't even begin to fathom that someone would do something so malicious.
Yeah.
You know, like, almost like they were, like, too pure.
Yeah.
To even believe that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Which is giving them a lot of benefit.
It really is.
I'm trying really, really hard. So, how long is she kidnapped the first time? 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they come back.
Yeah.
And there's like all these crazy stories about things that happened.
Yeah.
And the parents decide that they don't want to press charges, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, okay. Because they had already done what they did with him and they didn't want him to come and be so like, hey, I fucked both of you. Like, don't want that to come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, and then I have B does not have a sexual relationship with his wife, like, at all. And so, yeah.
Do you mention at all? I don't know. I can't remember exactly where on the timeline it is, but I know, like, the sisters talk about how he, like, built a wall. They had, like, shared a room in the basement.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, don't you want your own space, Jan?
Right.
And, like, had built a wall to separate her.
With her sister, from her sister,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah. And B also says that he went to the LDS counseling services to try and get rid of his fascination with Jan. But I don't think anything happened with that. Like, it just kind of...
Yeah, and like no one followed through.
No one followed through. No one saw anything wrong with this. Like, he went to counseling and nothing actually happened. Like, nothing was reported. I don't understand that. They can report things that are about to happen. Like, they're not bound by if someone's going to get hurt.
It makes them look bad.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because it was the LDS counseling. It wasn't just like an off-site counselor.
Well, and they say that it's, like, not even a, like, legit person, right?
Yeah.
And that they were doing, like, exposure or whatever. And it was just, like, a bunch of, like, mumbo-jumbo.
It really was. Well, and it came out that he had sex with his aunt at 4 years old, is what they said.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know if that's...
sexually molested?
Yeah.
Assaulted? Trying to...
Both.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how that worked.
Do we believe him?
I don't know.
I have a hard time believing him.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah.
But, you know, who am I?
Yeah. So, according to court transcripts, B slept in Jan's bed approximately 4 times a week for 6 months, right up to the day she was taken. So that's how many times he would be over there spending the night. While his wife is sitting in their other house raising their children, This monster is in Jan's fucking bedroom.
Oh my god. Oh my god. 4 times a week.
4 times a week.
Okay. I've said it once. Well, I've said it about something else, but I'm going to say it about this. If my husband ever was like, hey, I'm going to go sleep at Mel's house with Avery for the 4th night this week, that's like a hard red flag. Like, we're done. Same like, oh, this is my locked closet you can't enter.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Absolutely not. That closet door is coming off the hinges. Stat, baby. Stat. Oh, this is my shed that's locked with a key only I have. Oh, sweet honey. That's my shed. And I will find and free whoever the fuck is in there. Like, no. No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
That is my ultimate, like, red flag. And someone needs to be rescued.
Well, it should be a fucking red flag. Jesus. Oh my god. Okay, so
I'm going to sleep with my own kids.
I
Get out of my
don't want to
bed.
sleep with my husband. I need my own king size bed.
I don't want
okay?
my dogs, the cats. Like, I don't want anyone.
Get off.
I want to be literally alone in a cold room that's at the perfect temperature for me.
Yep. With no one else bugging. Okay, then we come to October 17th, 1974. And this is when Jan is taken and wakes up and thinks that she is an alien or that she's been taken by aliens. And she is now on a mission to have a child by the age of 16 to save the aliens. And if she didn't do that, her sister would be taken if Jan couldn't complete the mission.
So she wakes up in the RV.
Yeah.
And there's like a little tape recorder playing that is like distorted sound of these 2 aliens, Zeta and Zeton.
Yeah. I don't remember. Yes. That's right.
And the aliens tell her that the male counterpart who she'll need to have this child to save the earth is laying on the couch in the RV.
In the RV.
And so she like leaves the RV to go see who it is. Mm-hmm. And you'll never guess who's there.
Oh my god, was it B?
It's totally B.
Oh my god.
It's just like a 40-something-year-old man.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So now we're at 35 days missing, and they end up in Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't know if something happened before that, but that's what I have. And Mexican law, is this still a thing? Mexican law says they needed to be 12 to be married. Consent was 12. 12. That's not even a teenager. How can Mexico tell you, oh yes, you can get married to this 12-year-old, please? 12. So they get married.
So then he calls and he's like, hey, you have to be able, like, I'll come back. I'll bring Jan back. But her parents have to agree to consent to her, like, minor marriage.
Yeah.
And this is finally when her dad's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
No. You can't marry my 12-year-old? Like,
right.
Are you insane?
Yep.
And this is also, so then, I don't know what your notes are. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I don't know.
I was going to just.
Well, he was arrested in Mexico and brought back to the U.S. So, and then the doctor who looked over Jan said that there was no sexual trauma that he could find.
But there was, because I mean,
yeah.
We find out that after a certain amount of time of them being together, he's like, okay, now it's time for us to try.
Right. But I think that was like a couple years. I don't think that was at the 12-year-old mark. Like, I think that was later.
Are you sure?
No. Just making that up. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was this time.
Okay.
It's hard to keep it straight because there's a few different instances.
Right.
when
and
he does this.
Yeah, and sometimes nothing happens. Like when she wakes up and her panties are around her ankles.
Yeah.
Like nothing had happened. But I mean, that's still something.
I feel like I remember her saying specifically that it wasn't like the brutal rapes that she had like heard about.
Yes.
Like it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was like him doing like an inch of his penis at a time.
Yeah.
And like being gentle.
Gentle, yeah.
That's an air quote.
Yeah.
So like she didn't necessarily feel like it was like a bad thing that was happening.
Right.
Because it wasn't.
He wasn't mean.
Yeah, like he wasn't mean and violent. Like
Yeah.
in her mind, that's the only way it would be like bad.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Sure.
And that was this instance.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure. Again, I had a really hard time stomaching this.
I know, it was really bad. And so Gail comes over on Christmas Eve and asks Bob and his wife to drop all the charges against B. And they do it. They fucking do it.
I remember one of the investigators who was like, I'm taking time away from my family to build this freaking case.
Yeah.
And you just want to drop, like, no.
Yeah.
This isn't a drop charges sort of thing anymore.
No.
Like.
This is kidnapping, sexual assault, rape.
Like a lot of
pedophile,
stuff.
Yeah. Lots of stuff going on. And so he ends up moving to Utah. Because why not? Everything happens in Utah is good.
Which is crazy to me because, like, you're already part of this church. Like, you could have gone the Warren Jeffs route and, like, got a child bride.
Right.
Like, where you're in an entire town where people wouldn't have cared.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
Why are you doing it to this random little girl?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's good, you know, but, like, there was an avenue for him to have this available, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's...
Yeah. Yeah. So...
They let him back in,
yeah, he comes back and he would talk to her about the mission and he would give her love letters.
Yeah, so the parents, rather than be like, oh, this man kidnapped our daughter for a while.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, we'll give her access to her again.
Yeah, why not?
What?
I know. I don't understand. Like, these people... I know we're not like... I don't want to bash the victims, but...
I don't consider them a victim.
These parents are oblivious to life. That's the only way I can describe it. To life.
You know, I really get the feeling that I don't think they're oblivious. I think they're selfish. Because they didn't want their misguided actions to come out at the expense of their daughter. Right. And that to me is the ultimate most selfish thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because I would let the world know my biggest, deepest, darkest secret if it kept my kids safe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then we're at 38 days home and Bob gets a call saying his business was burning down. And Jan is thinking that it's her fault.
That was so sad.
I know.
That was so sad when she's like crying.
Yeah.
She's like, this was my fault somehow. Right. Like, because I didn't fulfill the mission.
Right.
And like, everything's terrible. But they find out that, he coordinated it from prison.
From prison, yeah. And he was charged, but he got acquitted.
Because they couldn't link him to it.
Because they couldn't link it and because of the mental defect.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah. So, like, he just didn't get charged with anything. This guy has gotten off.
He get like 10 days or something.
Maybe, but like it wasn't like anything substantial or like that mattered.
Yeah.
10 days is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this guy. Yes. So he was acquitted. So, So I said he beat the arson, the CIA, both kidnappings. What the fuck? He went into a mental facility in 1977, and then he was let go after that because he, I guess, told the doctors that he was fine, and they believed him, so they let him go. June 1978, the mission still hasn't been completed.
And the dad at this point, though, Jan's dad says, because I think the parents have gotten divorced.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he found out that Jan's mom was giving B access to her again. And he said, "You're going to regret that."
Yeah.
Just like, okay. It took you a little while to get there, but all right.
Yeah.
You're there now.
Yep.
But the mom has like a full-on affair with the dude.
Yeah.
For
8 months?
8 months.
Yeah. 8 months.
Crazy.
It is crazy. So July 31st comes around, and that's Jan's birthday, and she turns 16, and she is not pregnant yet.
Oh, I remember her talking and saying like she was so worried that everything was going to fall apart. But she also mentions that at this time he's less interested in her.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because she's getting older.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And she said she would kill her sister and herself if she couldn't do that or fulfill the mission.
Yeah.
She was willing to kill her sister so she wouldn't go through this, and then herself. I was like, oh, that's hard.
That is a horrific spot to be in.
Yeah.
Also so horrific that she was back in her life for that amount of time, you know?
Yeah.
And still truly believed what he'd spewed to her to be the truth.
Yeah.
Like, so deeply brainwashed.
So deeply brainwashed. Like at 16, I would think, I don't know. I mean, I guess if he's been around you for years, I mean, he's been around her since she was 12, years and years.
I mean, you gotta assume it's because they don't have the internet.
Yeah, and it's the 70s, I guess. Because it's just like, can you not know that maybe like there is no mission, that maybe there's not all of this? I don't know. Maybe not.
I'm not gonna say that a child should know better.
She shouldn't. She shouldn't. I don't want to say that either.
But I think her parents, should have known better.
They should have known better.
Should have been able to tell her, like, oh, there's no you know, like fully vet what had happened to her and give her the tools she needed to get over it in the most healthy way.
Yeah.
And like to be able to say, like, no, there is no mission. Like that, there was never a mission. You know, like sort of deprogram that brainwashing.
Yeah. And then I ate all his heart pills and alcohol. Who was that?
Him. So she finally realizes that like there's no mission and that this has kind of all been fake.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna go to prison for all of these charges.
Yes.
And he's like, I refuse. Like, I will not go back. Right. I won't go. I will not spend a day in jail or arrested. So he does what you just said.
Ate his heart pills and drank a bunch of alcohol.
And he kills himself.
Yep. And
what else do you have?
I don't know. I said 6 others found guilty of rape of 1 girl, 1 year in prison. I don't know what that is.
6 others found guilty of rape of 1 girl, 1 year in prison. I think that's what he was going to go to prison for. He was being found guilty of another.
Okay, yeah.
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 And he's like, nah, not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
So then the thing I find, so that she sort of, the rest of the documentary talks about her healing and she's very quick to forgive her parents. Which
she
I wouldn't have been.
I don't think I would have been either.
But she basically says something along the lines of like, well, you know, like I can't forgive anything if I can't move on if I can't forgive them.
Right.
Which like, you're a better person than I am.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't even have parents anymore. But then her mom starts writing a freaking book about her. And I have a big issue with that. She ends up writing it with her mom. But The mom starts on her own. Like, hey, I'm going to write this book about your ordeal that I subjected you to.
Right.
Like, no, ma'am.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So they write a book. And that's it.
Yep.
God, this one was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad because it wasn't the cops this time, you know? It was the actual family. Like, it was completely different.
Yeah.
Like, totally, like...
I couldn't be mad at the police.
You can't be mad at the police. They were the ones that were trying to convince the family. Like, they were trying to tell them, no, dumbass. Like...
Well, and you have to think, like... How... I don't know. How is it possible that people can be so naive?
Yeah.
Like, is it intentional? What is it? I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
I don't get it. So you'll be texting him again?
No, bedtime. All right. That's it.
That's it.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas.
Facebook,
The M Mamas.
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas.
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
and if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.